Now on CoastTV News.
Tough topic. What came of a town hall on hate crimes in Lewes tonight? Oyster boom, a promising boost in the Chesapeake Bay, and what's fueling population growth. Crossing concerns, how Dewey Beach plans to address a jump in jaywalking.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
Speakers at the Lewes Public Library this evening speaking out about hate crimes. Good evening. I'm Christina DeRobertis. Welcome to CoastTV News at 11 tonight. We begin first with a look back at a story we first told you about in April. You're now looking at Jay Droney and Jordan Hastings, two former volunteer firefighters with the Millville Volunteer Fire Company. They're now facing hate crime charges after police say they chased a paid employee with a rope tied into a noose. This prompting local organizations and members of the Delaware Department of Justice to come together and speak on a panel about hate crimes and what to do if you're a victim of one. CoastTV News reporter Zakia Jennings joining us in the newsroom now. Zakia, you were at that town hall.
Christina, it was a lively and very educational event. The room was nearly full, and the panelists, 6 panelists, it ranged from the president of the Sussex County branch of the NAACP to the state deputy attorney general. The Southern Delaware Alliance for Racial Justice, the organization that hosted the event, says this is just the beginning and they will not let these conversations die. 6 panelists gathered at the Lewes Public Library Wednesday evening for a town hall focused on hate crimes.
That hateful behavior has no place in Sussex County, period.
And even more so, a message for victims of hate crimes. Joseph Lawson, the executive director of the Southern Delaware Alliance for Racial Justice, says he thinks the meeting showed some progress.
I'm feeling like we came up with a couple of things that really need to happen. There needs to be a much closer relationship between the fire departments and the communities here in Sussex County.
Mics traveled around the room as attendees asked their questions and shared their points of view. Gary Konitis, the public information officer for the Millville Volunteer Fire Company, says he's feeling
actually energized.
Since the incident came to light in April, Konitis says the fire company has stood firm on their promise of updating their policies.
We took all of those individual things and we consolidated them into a new revamped policy that covers both members and volunteers and auxiliary. And it's one singular cohesive policy that people can find, people can read, people have to actually now sign and attest to the fact that they've read them and understand them. But moreover, we instituted the other policy as well that gives the board and the company the ability to have much faster response to disciplinary.
One of the points that were made at the town hall is that victims of hate crimes experience a range of things after the incident, including trauma. Which is why Angelo Reynolds Sr., who provides trauma-informed care, was on the panel.
There's not an underlying solution to it. So that's why we come out, share resources, and learn from each other so that we can get a hold on it or get a better hold on it.
As the event came to a close, Lawson made it clear that the conversation about racism, hate crimes, and victims does not stop here.
We created a dialogue, and dialogue can create progress, and we can build on this discussion to actually have progress, and we will.
Standing up against hate in Sussex County. Lawson says the Southern Delaware Alliance for Racial Justice will continue to be in communication with the Millville Volunteer Fire Company along with the Lewes Fire Department since their public information officer attended the event this evening. Lawson also shared there will be similar events in the future. Back to you.
All right, Zakia, thank you for that. Well, in Dewey Beach, the town has been working on a few pedestrian improvements ahead of the summer season, and today the town voted to increase the fine for jaywalking. Now the town says if you don't use the crosswalk, it will cost you $50. CoastTV spoke with Dewey Beach Commissioner Paul Bauer, who says enforcing the fine will be the only way it sticks.
Went through the expense of doing all this stuff is trying to keep people from coming at you from all angles. But we have to get compliance, and I think the only way you get compliance is you have to have enforcement. And I think that's the final piece here, that we're letting everybody know it's going to get enforced.
And Bauer tells Coast TV the goal of the fine is to make sure everyone stays safe, especially with summer around the corner. But we want to know what you think, so we're going to go to our Coast TV poll now. We want to know how much you think a fine for jaywalking should be. Let's take a look at the results. Looks like 58% say it should be $100, so double what Dewey Beach is now going to fine people. 24% say $10, and a few people in the middle there. We also have a comment tonight. It's from Michelle in Lewes, and she says, hey, maybe we need this in Lewes for pedestrians and bicycles there. So you can still vote. It's not too late. We want to know what you think. You can also still leave a comment. Just go to coasttv.com or use our mobile app. Well, every year, thousands of visitors make their way to Ocean City for some sun and sand, but this year, you can expect to pay much more for parking. Starting Friday in the municipal parking lot, the cost will jump to $3.50 an hour. At the inlet or the ocean blocks near the beach, it's a full dollar more than that at $4.50. The owner of Sunrise Diner right next to the boardwalk expects to hear some grumbling once visitors notice.
I hear it from the customers. People say, like, we come down here and it used to be like you could get a room for $50 a night, but now a room is minimum $200, and then you're paying for parking on top of that.
Now, daily paid parking fees will run from this coming Friday all the way until Halloween. So if you plan to spend some time at the Ocean City Beach this summer, make sure you have that parking app. It's going to cost you. Now we're going to take a live look outside on this rainy night and turn things over to our First Alert Chief Meteorologist, Paul Williams.
Right now, we're picking up another wave of rain, but it's relatively light stuff. But we're not concerned about, let's say, thunderstorms, but steady downpours, that drizzle and that raw feel, that's going to stay throughout the night. As you take a look, Ocean City at 58 degrees at this present time. We're going to stay with the scattered showers of a light to moderate variety. That'll stick around until at least about 3 o'clock in the morning. We got up to 0.86 inches of rain for us, actually, in Salisbury, over a half inch in Georgetown, and 0.78 for us in Ocean City. Here are some other locations. We're closed in on a full inch for us in Stockley, 3/4 of an inch or a little more for in Jones Crossroads, Georgetown, Seaford, as well as Laurel. More than a half an inch for Indian River Inlet, and we can see that most locations still at about a half inch or a little bit more, slightly less for us at Slaughter Beach. More on the next day of rain coming up. Till then, back to you.
Paul. Well, in Kent County, some business owners in Camden say they're worried about the town's proposed budget. The plan, which was introduced in early May, would increase residential property taxes by 46% and commercial property taxes by 87%. Town officials say they have not raised taxes in more than a decade, but many business owners argue the hike was introduced with little transparency. With an already uncertain economy, business owners say the increase is making it even harder to stay afloat.
They have to work with the community and the business leaders here to be able to come to that resolution to where is it fair, where can people afford, this tax rate, and doubling it is not the answer.
And the town of Camden scheduled to hold its second and final reading of that budget on June 2nd. Well, there's good news for the oyster population in the Chesapeake Bay. They're at the highest levels in the past 20 years. Maryland's Department of Natural Resources says the population has grown to 12 billion in Maryland's waters in the Chesapeake Bay. It credits their restoration efforts to NOAA, the Army Corps of Engineers, watermen, and the Horn Point Laboratory. The partners have worked to plant shells and baby oysters, or spat, within the bay to improve reproduction.
And those oysters are out there filtering, creating the ecosystem, reproducing, but also with the spat sets, it's helping the public fishery as well. So it's a win no matter how you look at it.
And DNR says Mother Nature has also helped with this boom in oysters. It says the salinity in the water has created somewhat of a sweet spot for reproduction there in the Chesapeake Bay. Making national headlines this week, a break in the case of 10 inmates who escaped from a New Orleans jail last week. Louisiana State Police say 2 more people have been arrested, those individuals accused of helping some of the inmates who escaped to avoid arrest. Sherelle Hubbard has more on who is being held accountable for the escape while police hunt for the remaining fugitives.
Several escaped New Orleans inmates are still fugitives, but 2 people accused of aiding inmates were arrested Wednesday. Courtney Harris is accused of transporting 2 escapees while Corvante Baptiste allegedly helped get food for Corey Boyd while he was in hiding. The Louisiana State Police said Wednesday former fugitive Boyd was transported by helicopter to a secure facility after being caught Tuesday night. Crime Stoppers of New Orleans says community members are tipping off police.
I immediately contacted the FBI.
One Uber driver told affiliate WDSU he believes he unknowingly gave another inmate a ride. He says a woman requested the ride, but a man got in.
What alarmed me was when he got in, most passengers, they greet you after I greet them. He didn't say anything.
A maintenance worker at the jail was arrested Tuesday. He's accused of assisting in the inmate's escape, according to a search warrant affidavit. He told investigators he turned off water in the cell from which the suspects fled. Council members demanded answers about system failures.
That's incredibly concerning that the very basic level of technology to keep the facility secure and to have an understanding when things go wrong is not there.
I take full accountability for this failure.
One inmate at the jail from where the prisoners escaped says since the escape, the jail has gone into lockdown.
Deputies, they're fighting against each other because they don't know who was involved, and they're also fighting against the inmates that still here.
I'm Sherelle Hubbard reporting.
We are just getting started tonight at 11. Coming up next, a record travel weekend expected this Memorial Day, gas prices, and what else you need to know before you hit the road. But first, a new face representing Lewes, why the city's new mayor makes history.
Well, it's not historic, but it is noteworthy. We're going to be dealing with yet another day of rain on Thursday in Cambridge as well as Crisfield. We'll have more on your full forecast when we come back. I tried to pull off a quick little trick before we came back. It didn't work. Anyway, I'm looking at Lewes right now. We're going to have temperatures in the 50s right now. There it is. Ta-da! All right, anyway, 58 degrees with scattered showers. But my other Lewes shot was too dark and I couldn't see anything, so I had to change back to this one. All right, so 58 degrees for the rest of the night. Not much movement as far as the temperatures are concerned. But we're going to see drizzle to light rain continuing throughout the time period. Winds are going to still stay a little bit blustery as well, particularly along the beaches. For the Lewes Beach, Indian Beach, Johnny Walker Beach, as well as Fenwick Island and Ocean View, watching out for 25-mile-per-hour winds. We do have concerns for a possibility of some inundation happening for folks that are in Cambridge, Bishop Heads, Taylor's Island, Deal Island, Nanticoke, as well as Monty, until about 1 o'clock in the morning. And then we also have a small craft advisory active there. And we have concerns for blustery conditions, Ocean City down to Chincoteague. So we had one wave of rain that started to push through. A second wave is starting to make its presence felt right now. But the good news is, watch how these yellows and oranges, they begin to diminish as they get a little bit closer, indicating that it's actually losing strength. And I would expect so much because we just simply do not have the heat energy in place to really push things through. You don't typically see this. This is called an occluded front. This is when cold air and warm air kind of roll over top of each other or overlap or basically stumbling over each other, so to speak. So we will push warm and cool air together. So the red and the blue creates that purple marker for us to show that it's an occluded front. So we have temperatures in the mid-50s for right now. Winds are coming out of the east with a gust occasionally at 32 miles per hour at the Indian River Inlet. Look for showers to continue for the night as temperatures stay in the upper 50s. So Thursday, we're looking for that coastal low with brief downpours. But the holiday weekend's looking much drier and much better. Now, we will clock a scattered shower or two between Selbyville and Berlin around lunchtime. And then perhaps a few spots throughout the afternoon. And then it should begin to subside for us pretty quickly in a scattered pattern. Now, we're going to have 2 waves of quick developing spot showers that are going to pop in and out. Got to kind of watch those because it's the amount of sunshine between those 2 waves that could be a little tricky to kind of track. And we'll track that just in case it becomes a problem. But we're not looking at much in the way of precipitation. The amount, looking at about 1/4 of an inch, less than 1/2 an inch in most locations. And we've been even taken out of the non-severe category as far as overall risk is concerned. Still holding it to a 49% chance of rain. So Thursday going to Friday, scattered showers, the brief downpour with thunderstorms. Gusty winds, onshore flow is going to be happening when the wind is coming from the water to the shores. That's what we call the onshore flow that we're talking about. Sunday we're clear, Monday we're okay, but Tuesday we start going back to being cloudy again, bracing for another round of rain. In summary, 54 for tonight, 65 for tomorrow with rain, 69 for Friday with a touch of rain as well. Here's a look at your extended forecast.
All right, Paul Williams, thank you very much. Well, you're looking at Amy Marasco. As of this morning, she's now officially the mayor of Lewes. And as Coast TV News reporter Emma Aiken shows us, it's the first time a woman will lead the first town in the first state.
A standing ovation for Amy Marasco.
I am very proud and excited, without question, very proud.
Sworn in Wednesday, she's now the first woman in history to serve as mayor of Lewes.
I would say there is no glass ceiling in Lewes, and I think it is important as women and also people of color, when we break through those, we're sending the message to the next generations that you are welcome at this table as well.
Some of her first initiatives include addressing food insecurity and setting up an environmental and resiliency committee. Lewes local and environmentalist Sally Boswell expects the new mayor to be a positive force in the community.
Her ideas for how those open spaces will be managed and protected are very in alignment with my concerns and my interests, so I'll be stepping up to help out wherever I can.
Marasco succeeds Andrew Williams, who did not run for re-election. In this new chapter, civic engagement is also one of her priorities.
We have little problems to work on and big problems, and I need citizens as part of all of that. So I believe it's our job to tee up those to make it easier for citizens to engage.
Marasco will serve the city as mayor for 3 years, where she can then decide whether or not to run for re-election. Reporting in Lewes, Emma Aiken, Coast TV News.
Coming up next, warning signs, things you need to know about skin cancer heading into the summer in tonight's Health Minute.
This is Coast TV News at 11.
Well, it looks like Airbnb does not want summer holiday extravaganzas on its properties. The vacation rental business is putting in place what it says it's anti-party technology. On its real estate listings, Airbnb says the defenses effectively block particular bookings for Memorial Day and July 4th weekends. The goal is to lessen the risk of disruptive get-togethers and potential damage. Airbnb unveiled its global party ban policy in 2020. It says party reports it received were cut in half. The company says it's all part of a broader set of policies that will help hosts safeguard their properties. Well, millions of Americans expected to travel 50 miles or more for Memorial Day weekend. The majority of travelers expected to be driving to their destination, and that means a lot of traffic. In today's Consumer Watch, Jen Sullivan looks at what drivers can expect on the roads and what passengers can expect in the skies.
Memorial Day is the unofficial start to summer. It also means the start of a busy travel season. AAA estimates more than 45 million people will travel between Thursday and Monday. That's almost 1.5 million more travelers than last year and would be a new record for Memorial Day travel. Roughly 39 million people are expected to hit the roads.
87% of the people who are traveling over Memorial Day are expected to drive.
AAA says the worst times to drive are Thursday between 1 and 9 p.m. and Friday between noon and 8 p.m. And the worst time to return home on Memorial Day is between 4 and 7 p.m.
You want to leave as little to chance as possible because there are so many things you can't control when you're on the road. Other drivers, construction, the weather.
There is good news for drivers.
The price of crude oil has come down significantly.
According to GasBuddy.com, the national average price for a regular gallon of gas as of Wednesday was $3.16, well below last year's Memorial Day prices of $3.62. The skies will be just as busy, with more than 3.6 million people expected to fly over Memorial Day, and ticket prices are down.
The most affordable times to fly are right now at the very beginning of summer before mid-June.
Expedia travel expert Melanie Fish says travelers can score some last-minute Memorial Day deals right now.
If you want to hop on a plane this week to go to Spain or London from New York, you can get there for under $700.
And whether you're flying or driving, experts recommend giving yourself plenty of time to get to your destination safely. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Target is signaling its prices are likely heading higher. The retailer cutting its earnings guidance as it expects the Trump administration's tariffs will push up costs. The company reported its sales fell during the last quarter. Target said that was due in part to customer backlash over its decision to reverse its diversity, equity, and inclusion programs.
Here's a look at your Gulf forecast. We're expecting for it to stay very much on the cloudy side, with it being not so good. Cloudy, slightly milder with afternoon, evening showers.
As we observe Memorial Day weekend, we honor the memory of the brave men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice in service to our nation. This solemn occasion reminds us of the cost of freedom and the courage of those who have defended it. We salute all those who have served and fallen, whose legacy inspires us to cherish and protect the liberties they fought so valiantly to uphold. Let us remember their lives, not just in moments of silence, but through our actions that uphold the values they fought for, ensuring their sacrifices were not in vain.
Spicer Brothers and Coast TV are honoring military persons and first responders serving Delmarva. If you have a family member, friend, or community member that you would like to nominate for a Coast TV salute, go to CoastTVSalutes.com.
Well, every year, around 6 million people are treated for skin cancer, and health officials say the number of new cases continues to grow, but early detection, it can save lives. In tonight's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has the skin cancer warning signs that everyone should know.
In the U.S., there are three most common types of skin cancer: basal cell and squamous cell carcinomas, which are typically treatable, and melanoma, which is much more deadly.
The earlier you find and diagnose and detect a cancer, the higher the cure rate will be from the cancer.
Dr. Shane Dormady with El Camino Health says up to 95% of skin cancers are curable, but knowing the warning signs is critical. He says the letters A, B, C, D, E can help you remember the red flags. A is for asymmetry. If a spot isn't a perfect circle or has an odd shape, get it checked. B is for border. Beware of a spot that's not sharply defined. C is for color.
Anything that is really dark, black or purplish, or of course bleeding, is a major warning sign and needs to be checked out immediately by a physician.
D is for diameter. Dormady says if a spot is larger than the diameter of a pencil eraser, see a doctor. Finally, E is for evolution.
If the color's changing, if something's getting bigger, that's worrisome for a skin cancer.
Dormady says if you spot a warning sign, see a doctor. He says anyone with a personal history of skin cancer should see a dermatologist every 3 months. Those with a family history should get skin checked by a doctor every 6 months. And everyone should get a skin screening from a board-certified dermatologist at least once per year. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
Yeah, Cape Henlopen girls lacrosse had won 14 of the last 15 girls lacrosse titles in Delaware. Take a guess how this quarterfinal matchup went tonight. Cape hosting Wilmington Friends to open the postseason. 8:16 to go in the first, and it would be those ladies in Navy getting on the board first as Lily Rabano finds Molly Dolan. How do you do? And Wilmington Friends leads it 1-0, but that lead would be short-lived. 14 seconds later, Allie Deal dissecting the defense and getting the Vikings on the board. It's 1-1. Now 7:08 to go, and the Vikings are starting to get in a rhythm. Claire Lopez from X hits a cutting Haley Gamacello, and the Vikings lead it 3-1. Quakers start moving. Rabano hitting the B button, and she's going to put home the crafty left-handed finish. It's a 3-2 game, and then Cape went on a run. Macy Steinwedel showing why the Vikings are so dominant. She scores on the backhander. It was 10-3 Cape in the first. Let's go to the second. All Cape Henlopen, May Reed Rishko. They got better genes than Wrangler in this family. She darts downfield, makes it 14-4. And Cape wasn't finished there. They go on to win it 19-7 to move on to the semifinals. And in more somber news, Colts owner Jim Irsay passed away at age 65. Irsay presided over the team as CEO since 1997, winning Super Bowl 41 back in 2006. His father, Robert, moved the team from Baltimore back in 1983.
Coming up next, we bring you to the Slower Lower Short Film Fest in Milton tonight. It was a solid turnout at the Milton Theater tonight for the Slower Lower Short Film Festival. The event showcasing 14 short films, mostly from filmmakers in Maryland and Delaware. Submissions, they were open to filmmakers of all ages, all skill levels. The only requirement, the films just had to be under 30 minutes. Now we're going to turn things over to Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams for one more check on the forecast.
Well, let's check the film right now on our forecast. We're expecting for it to stay, on the wet side of things. That's it for us in Milford at 56 degrees. 56 to 57 is where we're going to oscillate between the two. We'll maintain cloudy skies and scattered showers, actually. Here's the latest look at the radar. You can see that another wave is developing across the lower Delaware area, sliding directly from the west to the east, and we do have concerns for coastal flood advisory that's in effect. By the way, with all that rain, an umbrella would be handy, and Ryan Hart of Ocean View, congratulations. You're our new winner, courtesy of Paul Davis Restoration Home Remodeling. Keep up with your forecast. Calling our weather line. The number to call is 443-880-9100. Your forecast is just a call away. Sponsored by the law offices of Brockstead, Mendalis, and Federico. And finally, here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. Listen, we stay soggy on, basically repeat today, okay? And then on Friday, it gets a little bit better. And then over the weekend, it gets a whole lot better with a lot more sunshine.
All right, thanks, Paul. As long as it gets better by the weekend, right? Thanks to you at home for joining us for Coast TV News at 11 tonight. You can always find some more local news and local weather anytime on our Coast TV News app. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon's up next, and we'll see you tomorrow for Coast TV News Today at 5 a.m. Have a great night.